It's time for the Lowell Green Show, originating live on blasttheradio.com. Ask your smart speaker to play Blast the Radio. Live video available on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Email Lowell at blasttheradio.com. The number to call or text is 613-413-2217. And now, telling it like it is, here's Lowell Green.
On further to your inquiry about bears,
Yes.
no bears today. I think they've all gone back into hibernation. It's so bloody cold.
I don't blame them.
I just got news. It's been snowing in Almont, which is not very far from where I am right now.
No, sir.
So look out for snow. My goodness. I got a question for everybody today. May sound like a silly question. Maybe it is a silly question, but some of the things happening are, to say the least, a little bit silly. Question is this: do you see anybody among all of our many leaders with any common sense, with any reasonable judgment, with a reasonably functioning brain? Can you spot anybody that would fit that description? Because I don't see it today. It's unbelievable. No matter where you look, pillar to post. Let me just go through a few things here, and then I'll elaborate a little bit more, and I hope some of you may be able to add some comment. First of all, terrible news from Delhi, from India. The city is in a terrible shape. It's a double mutant variant, apparently, that's just raging through the city. Hospitals are overwhelmed. People dying in the streets. People are crying for help, honest to God, on social media. There's nobody there, I guess, or very few to help them. The health services are just absolutely overwhelmed, which, of course, is what we are so afraid of here. But in spite of all of this, in spite of and by the way, it's so bad in Delhi that they have shut the officials of Delhi have shut the entire city down. Nobody is supposed to move from their homes. Lock yourself in your homes. No businesses, nothing going. That's how bad it is in Delhi. The only thing moving in Delhi are the airplanes on their way to Ottawa. We are still allowing airplanes flying from Delhi, home of the double mutant variant, devastated that city. We are still allowing those airplanes to land at Pearson International Airport and apparently at Vancouver International Airport as well. And that's not the end of it. Another country that's having a terrible time, hospitals being overwhelmed, etc., is Brazil. I'm just checking my watch. There will be a plane landing at Pearson from Brazil very shortly. In almost every case, and even the government admits that in almost every case, these airplanes coming in from these COVID-racked nations are carrying infected people. In fact, I'll give some startling facts in just a moment. So I don't see much judgment there. I don't see any common sense there. Then let's come here to Ottawa, okay? The city of Ottawa and Queen's Park. I mean, is there nobody in Doug Ford's office, for God's sake, who understands the travel situation between Quebec and Ottawa? Is nobody understands that there are thousands of people living in Quebec who work in Ottawa? So they blockaded, or partially, whatever the hell they did yesterday at the bridges. And in some cases, apparently the lineup of cars was 10 miles long, not 10 kilometers, 10 miles long. So bad that many healthcare workers, because there's a lot of people living in Quebec who work in our hospitals, long-term care, et cetera, et cetera. So many of those people were late for work. I mean, like, is nobody at Doug Ford's office understand what the hell goes on here? This is freaking unbelievable. And I mean, it's just what Ford needs. I mean, he's under all sorts of flack anyway. Some of it deserved, some of it not. But I mean, to make a stupid mistake like this, like, is there nobody in his caucus who would say, geez, you know, Doug, we better be careful because, God, there's thousands of people living in Quebec who have to, you know, they work in Ottawa. Maybe you don't think they should be, but they are working here. In fact, I'm going to tell you, were it not for workers from Quebec, I don't know who would man many of our long-term care places. But anyway, I mean, it's just absolute, total, complete, utter lack of judgment, lack of common sense with the Ford government. And I'm a Ford supporter. But I mean, honest to God, Doug. And not just Doug. I mean, Mary Lee Fullerton. I mean, I helped Mary Lee get elected. I think she's a fine person. But I mean, did she not alert Doug to what the hell would happen here? Just drives you nuts, doesn't it? Where is the judgment? But if you think those decisions lack judgment, lack common sense, which they certainly do, I don't think anything illustrates more how out of touch with reality many of our leaders are as the situation regarding Line 5. Here I go. And by leaders, I'm not just talking about elected representatives. Let me just listen to this. Some time ago, apparently 2 or 3 weeks ago, it's very hard to get information, but some time ago, a special committee was set up here in Canada to examine the possibility of Line 5 being shut down by the Michigan governor. As you know, she has said that she is going to shut down Line 5 by May 11, a dateline coming up. So apparently a committee was struck. So, I mean, anybody with even a partially functioning brain, even if you just got a tiny little bit of your brain working, you know that Line 5 supplies about half of all of the oil, gasoline, propane, and even natural gas to Ontario and Quebec, and all of the jet fuel for Pearson. By now, everybody knows Line 5. Okay? It supplies about half the oil, gas, etc. for Ontario and Quebec. So, listen to this. Despite this obvious fact, we all know what would happen if they shut it down. Listen to this. This special committee, and I'm quoting its report, after several weeks of hearings involving, quote, cabinet ministers, union leaders, industry leaders, experts of various kinds, the committee has issued a final report that boggles your freaking mind. After all of these meetings with these great leaders, union, industrial, you know, the great brains of our country, sitting down for weeks in these meetings, what would happen if they shut down Line 5? Oh, so they come up with the report. After all of this meeting, they you know what their decision is? Quote, honest to God, I'm quoting, shutting down Line 5 would, quote, create fuel shortages and job losses on both sides of the border. This takes weeks of our top leaders to decide that I mean, I'm going to tell you that you could take the average kindergarten class, junior kindergarten class, and they would be able to figure this out in, I don't know, 5 minutes, maybe less. But, I mean, Line 5 supplies, how many times do I have to say it? About half the oil, gas, propane, and all the jet fuel, okay? So if you shut her down, guess what's going to happen? We're going to have fuel shortages. Geez, imagine that. So wait a minute, you shut down half of this creates fuel. We didn't know that. This took us weeks of the top brains to decide this. And the recommendation that the federal government, Canadian federal government, negotiate with the U.S. government to see if they can resolve this. This took weeks. I mean, if ever you needed an example of the lack of leadership, the lack of common sense, the lack of judgment, the lack of just ordinary, everyday freaking thinking among our leadership, there she is, folks. There she is. Planes coming in from one of the most COVID-racked nations on earth. In fact, several planes coming in. We got nobody in Ottawa realizes that there are thousands of people living in Quebec who work in Ontario. Nobody seems apparently to realize that. And it takes weeks of our top leaders, including union and industrial, to figure out that if they shut down Line 5, it's going to cause fuel shortage. This is leading. You wonder why this country's in the trouble it is. These are the people that are leading us. Not just the elected officials either. I mean, union leaders and industrial leaders. This, honest to God. Honest to God. I mean, like it's just as if, I don't know whether these people are living in some sort of a bubble, whether they are so afraid of offending somebody that they can't make rational decisions. Or is it just that, oh, geez, we can make a lot of money. Let's meet, let's have these roundtable meetings here. We'll discuss. And we get paid the whole time. You can be damn sure that they got paid all kinds of money to do this, right? And then, if we're talking about rational decisions, I don't know how much rationality there is in the federal budget. I mean, do we really need at this point? This country is racked with debt, $1.4 trillion in debt now, with no relief in sight. Do we really need at this time to institute a child care program that's going to cost us $100 billion? Couldn't this at least wait a year or two until maybe we get the economy booming again? Apparently not. Why? Well, because there's going to be an election. I mean, one of the problems with spending all of this money is that the people who are going to have to pay for this, your children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren, they don't get a vote. They're going to be saddled with all of this debt. Who the hell else is going to pay for it? Somebody's got to pay for it. I don't understand it. I don't understand it. The budget throws enough money, of course, to guarantee Trudeau an election victory. And meantime, as I say, the children and grandchildren who have to pay for it all, they don't get a vote, not for a while. And just to further we get some. Okay, John, you've got some memos coming in here.
Sure. Arthur actually has an interesting point of view. I think he's being funny, but I like it. On the bright side, international flights may stop coming here if they can't get jet fuel.
I said that yesterday. You're right.
It's not a bad take, right? Yeah. Anthony says, fuel shortages mean higher gas prices, therefore higher taxes that we pay for fuel. True Anon is probably licking his chops. Tim says, common sense would disqualify anyone from becoming a leader for this country. Peter says, afternoon, folks. Common sense, it's not all that common these days. Mike says, could this explain why we're always short on our vaccines? Because they're saving them for their own people. They are the biggest producer of vaccines in the world. And then I lost your message after that, Mike. I apologize. Anthony says, still thinking about that. An old saying comes to mind, power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. The leaders today are only concerned with how they can maintain the power they have. And Lisa says, it's a huge double standard. We can't travel, but it's okay to allow thousands of people into the country who are infected.
Yeah, it's just wild. And of course, through all of this, Doug Ford is being blamed. It's all Doug Ford's problem. In fact, the leader of the telephone booth party, that would be the Liberals in Ontario, he has called for Doug Ford's resignation. The whole thing is his fault, folks. Now, the fact that let me give you some more examples of what's going on here. And I don't know who's responsible. Well, I do. I mean, the federal government's responsible for getting vaccines, right? But at any rate, as you know, the AZ, Astra, or whatever the hell is Zeneca, I'll call it AZ, shorten things up. They'd finally arrived at some of the pharmacies, and they're expanding the number of pharmacies, and they've reduced the age that you can get it at a pharmacy to 40. Sounds like a sane decision. Good. Doug Ford didn't get any credit for that. But anyway, that's the situation. Here's the problem. Apparently, these pharmacies are being swamped with requests for appointments, and they're making the appointments. Except today, we find out that AZ has just announced that it's going to reduce its vaccine delivery to Canada by about 50%. So God knows, are they going to be able to actually give vaccines to all of those appointments? Doug Ford's got nothing to do with that, although a lot of people, and John, you're being confronted with this, a lot of people still feel that, well, if he really wanted to, he'd get vaccines here, et cetera, et cetera. In fact, apparently a lot of people think that if he really wanted, he'd shut down the airports.
Oh, I got into a huge argument on Facebook a day or so ago with a guy like that. He says, the airport's in Ontario. He has absolute authority. No, he has none.
Not federal, no, certainly not the airports.
Lowell, could he even shut down the Carp Airport if he wanted to? Or is that
I don't believe so. No, it's federal property.
I agree. Yeah, I think so too.
Anyway.
Anyway.
The Carp Airport may be a little different. I don't know, but certainly Pearson is not. But so here we go again. And you can be damn sure that once again, Ford, and I'm saying, I'm mad at Ford for this decision concerning the bridges, et cetera, et cetera. No question about it. Not his fault if we're not getting the vaccines. So he goes ahead, announces that pharmacies are going to get the AZ, and it increases the number of pharmacies, et cetera, et cetera. And then after all of this is finished, the federal, don't forget, the federal government promised, I think it was 1.2 million doses of AZ. Now we find out that, no, it's only going to be about 600. In other words, cut in about half. And so Ford's caught in the middle. He's going to look bad. He made all of these appointments, and now you haven't got it. And you know what? Through it all, here is this guy Trudeau, just dances through it all. He's got the lovely little cute curl down over his forehead now. I'm convinced, actually, that it's pasted there. Okay, he's got some sort of glue on it there. But whatever it is, he's really, really cute. There's no question about it. I know I'm insulting. You know what? I don't care anymore. It's so bad. I mean, this guy's decisions and lack thereof are costing us deaths. People have died because of this man's stupidity. All right. Shields. Still getting, rave reviews. Shields, a lot of people and I'm glad for this, introduced a lot of people to Shield appliances, furniture appliances up there in Pakenham. And we're getting a lot of rave reviews from people who didn't even know that the company existed. And they've ordered, and they're very, very pleased. Check out the prices. You will see that right now, many of the appliances are on sale. Don't forget that if you're working out of Pakenham, your cost of operation is a little bit less than it's going to be in one of these big fancy malls, okay? So the cost of it's a family operation, so the cost of operation is a bit lower. Just check the prices. Compare. If you're worried about price, that's the only thing that matters to you. Check out the prices. You'll be very, very surprised. And I say to you this: if the price is within $1 of what you would get from a big box store, give your business to the local company. I mean, that only makes sense. That's just being a good Canadian. And I've said this many, many times. Give them a chance. Check out the website. If you're in the market, not only just for appliances, that's mainly furniture, technology, whatever the heck it is, but appliances are a big business. Check out, you'll see the sale prices all marked there very, very easily. Shields, SCHEELS.ca. Yes, John, more.
613-413-2217. We got a text from Mort who asks, are the U.S. or the U.K. restricting flights from India? Do we know that?
Yes, yeah. Actually, the U.K. announces that all flights from India will be stopped this coming Friday. Now, they may do it earlier, but the decision was made a little while ago to stop. But now, in light of this latest situation in Delhi, they may speed it up. The U.S., I don't think the U.S. has allowed flights in from Delhi for some time. By the way, we're still allowing flights in from China. I mean, the Americans, as you know, this was Donald Trump, the dreaded Donald Trump, who stopped flights from China way back in, I think it was March, maybe even before that. Yes, John.
Another text. Again, the number here is 613-413-2217. We'd love your call as well. Barry says, good to see the governor of North Dakota talking with the premier of Manitoba on vaccine help to ensure mutual safety with all the cross-border transport between those two places. Too bad our premier can't talk to the Green governor of Michigan about Line 5. Enbridge has deeper pockets than Michigan and will keep the shutdown order in appeal for a long, long time. We've got an email from Lisa. She says, people have to stop this one-upmanship I see going on amongst politicians. Set their egos aside, put their heads out of their collective arses, and do the right thing. If you think this third wave is bad, wait till that Brazilian variant arrives here. Not a question of if, but rather when. I fear millions of Canadians will die. And we've got a call.
Let me address that.
Yep.
That the Brazilian variant is overtaking British Columbia. They're having a terrible, we sort of ignore British Columbia, but British Columbia is having a terrible time. And it's primarily the so-called Brazilian variant there that has overtaken many others. And this double mutation, or whatever the hell it is, out of India, I'm not sure. I tried to check this out today. Not sure if it's arrived in Canada as yet, but you can be sure that it's only a matter of time. I mean, if we're allowing flights coming in from India, from Delhi, the heart of it all, you can be damn sure that it's only a matter of probably hours, days until this double mutant arrives here, and it's a bad one. It's a bad one. Kelly is on the line. Yes, go ahead, please, Kelly.
Yes, I was wondering if you were familiar with Vaccine Hunters Canada.
Vaccine, I'm sorry, which?
Vaccine Hunters Canada.
No, what is that?
I was put onto this today, and if you type it in, it's going to tell you every province in Canada and where vaccines are currently available, that there's a surplus, and taking appointments.
Right.
So anyone out there that's still trying to navigate the system, they're able to log into Ontario, Quebec, Alberta, and such, and find out pharmacy such and such is available today.
Now, do you know who sponsors that website? You've got to be careful.
I believe it's a bunch of doctors. That is a free site.
Okay.
It's non-for-profit.
Okay.
Somebody in Quebec turned me on to it today.
Okay.
And the first line on there right now is, starting tomorrow, anyone in Quebec age 45 and over is now eligible. Yes,
that's true. Yes, I think actually that may have started yesterday, but yeah, you're right. The problem is that as I just said, what AZ has just announced that it is reducing its shipment to Canada by about 50%. So whether those pharmacies will be able to fulfill all of those appointments, I think, is a very, very moot question. That's the problem. The problem is that Trudeau, the federal government, promises, okay, we have so many coming in now, so many are coming next week, et cetera, and yet almost inevitably, it doesn't happen. They either get no shipment, or they get half the shipment, or partial shipment, and it's making planning almost impossible. This, as you know, last week, they had to cancel 20,000 vaccine appointments in Toronto and area because the vaccines that were supposed to arrive did not arrive. 20,000 appointments had to be rescheduled. Imagine the work of that, right? So, all right, thank you very much. What's the name of the site again, please?
Vaccine Hunters Canada.
Vaccine Hunters Canada. I'll check it out. Thank you very much. Thank you, Kelly.
Thank you.
First call, I think, from Kelly.
I think so too.
By the way, it's this lack of common sense and judgment. It's not just at the federal and provincial level. It's not just involving Line 5. I think the decision by Ottawa City Council to spend at least $200 million building a new spendiferous, or whatever the hell you call it, library, it just makes no sense whatsoever. The role of libraries in our lives has changed. You can access the library now through ebooks. For every hardcover book that is sold, I would suggest that there's probably 1,000 ebooks that are read. I mean, I don't have the exact figures, but I mean, I just know as an author that, as I say, when I first started about 12 years ago writing, I had no problem selling 25,000 hard-covered books. Today, and I'm not the only one, I'd be lucky to sell 4,000 or 5,000. Why? Because everybody's buying the books through Amazon, et cetera, through ebooks. I mean, Debbie is an avid reader, but she reads all on a Kindle. You go away on vacation, instead of having to stuff your suitcase with about 25 books weighing about 100 pounds, you just take this little machine, or whatever the hell, your ebook or whatever the hell it is, iPad, and there's maybe 100 or 150 books on it that you can access. Yes, John.
We've got Hazel saying, I have a solution for Canada. Castro's retiring in Cuba. Trudeau can take his place, and I'll pay his ticket there. Thank you, Hazel. And this one, Lowell, sit down. I think this is going to get you fired up. Robert says, I think that Trudeau is spending like a drunken sailor because he thinks it will help his objective for a new world order / world reset where all debts would be erased and communism is the world government.
I don't subscribe to those theories.
I know you don't.
It's What he is doing. No, actually, what's happening here is that, and that we see this in the budget. It seems that the issue of global warming, whatever the hell that is, takes precedence over everything. This is where the money is being spent. This is where the political energy is being expended. Global warming, green, we're going to do this green, we're going to do that green, et cetera, et cetera. This has overtaken common sense. Let's green up the world. I have no questions with that. But it seems to me before we start building green buildings, we should try and get rid of COVID. Like, what should happen first, for God's sake, is establish a domestic manufacturing of vaccines. We should have done this months ago. We should, right? I don't know if you're aware of this or not, but as of this morning, the United States announced that so many people now have been vaccinated that it's now open to anybody age 16 plus. So if you're 16 or more in the United States, go anywhere. They're administering over 4 million doses a day in the United States. If you're 16 in the United States, you don't have to make an appointment. You just show up. In many cases, you only have to get out of your car. My daughter, by the way, she got her second shot yesterday, exactly 21 days after her first, down in Florida. There's no way that they're telling people to wait 4 months like we're doing now. I got my first shot on March 24th. I don't get my second shot till July 14th. Will there be any effectiveness left? Who the hell knows? Yes, John.
I like your talk about the library. I mean, that's a nice to have, right? And here we are with our governments asking us right now to determine, wants versus needs. Well, I'm asking them to do the same. A library is a nice to have. That's not a need. That's a want right now. Can we put that on the back burner? Anyway, I digress. Todd, you invite me into the show. I'm going to opine every now and then.
No, I couldn't agree with you more.
Thank you. Todd says, now that the AZ is being cut in half, will this affect getting the second dose?
Who knows? I mean, they tell me that I'm getting my second dose on July 14. Who the hell knows? I mean, we can't believe Trudeau. We can't trust him. Whatever sorts of deals that he made very clearly are not working. Oh, by the way, while Canada is begging everywhere, I mean, we've even gone to COVAX to suck out, vaccines from an organization that's supposed to supply it to third world nations.
Basically, Value Village.
Value. Israel just got 2 million more from Pfizer. Israel has already vaccinated more than 80% of its total population, more than 70% second, and they just got another 2 million from Pfizer. No problem. So if Israel can get 2 million, how come we can't get them? What the hell is Trudeau doing? Not only that, but apparently we're paying about 3 or 4 times what any other country is paying for every damn shot. What the hell is Trudeau doing? He's sure as hell not getting vaccines. Yes, John.
Mike asks, Lowell, how many vaccines do we get from India compared to the ones we get from the UK, if any?
Oh, we have actually a lot of the vaccines have been coming in from India, but there's now fear that that's going to be totally cut off. We may find it. I am afraid that we're going to find a situation here where in the next little while we may have almost no vaccines whatsoever as COVID I hope I am wrong, but I mean we're getting, and actually Moderna has just announced that it's going to be delaying its deliveries as well. For some reason, Canada is way down on the list. Other nations, Switzerland just announced, for example, it's getting all sorts of new supplies. European nations are having no problem getting supplies. Why the hell can't Trudeau get more vaccines for us? Huh. Anyway, I could just, beat your head against a wall. In the case of Centennial Glass, that would be a glass wall. Because if you want a glass wall, they have built plenty of glass walls.
Nobody does a better segue than you, Lowell Green. Wow.
If it's glass of any kind. One of the things they really specialize in at Centennial is custom furniture. There's a great demand now. People want glass furniture. Even, I mentioned one time that we were renovating a house and it had a beautiful glass banister. You opened the door of the house and the first thing you saw was this gorgeous glass banister. Centennial, they designed the whole thing, installed it. It was beautiful and not that expensive. Their prices are very, very reasonable. It's a large dealership. It's totally local. This is not a big box store, but their prices are extremely competitive. Their workmanship is second to none. Centennial Glass, windows, doors, renovations, screens, repairs, custom furniture, glass showers, whatever. centennialglass.ca. Yes, John.
We do have a text here at 613-413-2217. It's a little long, but it's not terrible. Hi, Lowell. Please speak the facts. Yesterday, talking conspiracies, doctors all in on it. We have extreme lefties and righties. The truth is in the middle. Doctors and nurses are told not to speak out against vaccines. 40% are against. I have had COVID. It's real. I have a history of bad lung infections, bronchitis, pneumonia, asthma, etc. There are supplements to reduce symptoms, and I am thankful. Doctors forbidden to treat with hydroxychloroquine. I know you are frustrated, but there are lots of virologists begging to stop the vaccines because this may mutate to extreme.
You know what
deadly.
my response to that is? Bullshit. Stop spreading the damn lies. 40% of doctors are opposed to vaccines. Give your head a shake. You know what? Stop. If you believe that, that's your business. But you stop trying to spread that stuff. There already is enough fear about vaccines. It's the only hope we've got. So stop it, okay? Just stop the damn nonsense. You should be ashamed of yourself. If you believe that, keep it to your own damn shrunken head, but leave the rest of us alone. On that note, goodbye.
Lowell Green, live on blasttheradio.com. Show info and links at blasttheradio.com/Lowell Green. Can't join us live? Subscribe to the Lowell Green podcast. Available on Apple, Google, Spotify, and more. Or ask your smart speaker to play the Lowell Green podcast. Join us live, weekdays at 2 p.m. Eastern on blasttheradio.com.